Have you ever made a bad hire or the wrong hire? I know I have. The first thing I think about is what could I have done different during that interview process to avoid this situation? It's so critical that we hire the right people for our teams, as we know one person, one bad hire can really change the whole dynamic of a team or even a whole company sometimes. It made me think about the interview process in general. And I want to share with you some of the things that I do when approaching an interview and looking for candidates. And hopefully this will help you make sure that you don't make a bad hire or the wrong hire going forward. So the first thing I do is just be prepared. Look at the resume for the candidate. If they're licensed in the mortgage industry, check NMLS and make sure that NMLS matches their interview or the resume. And then know what position you're interviewing for and have specific questions ready around that skill set. So if it's somebody that needs mortgage experience, you might ask them specific guideline questions. Or if you're hiring for an assistant that needs to be very organized, you might ask them questions like, there's an event coming up, here's the particulars. How would you approach that event, organize it, make sure it's successful? And that will give you insight to that person's real life experience and knowledge, and not just rely on their resume for their experience. Next is make sure that you have multiple people doing interviews and that multiple people are in the interview. So maybe a 2 or 3 step interview process, and then also have somebody in that interview with you. I think it's so critical to at least have 2 interviews. I found that the first interview and the second interview sometimes are very different, and the things that are talked about can really give a lot of insight into a candidate. Also, I've learned so much from being part of interviews and just listening to the questions the other person is asking. So it really helped me dial in my skill set. Next is be very clear on the candidates that you're looking for. So here at Service First, we're looking for good, happy, positive, productive, professional, people. We want somebody that's passionate about their job and Service First. We want to make sure they did their homework. They looked up about the company. They have questions. It's not just another job to them. They need to have a growth mindset. Every time they talk about success, do they say I, or do they say we? I think it's so important to the candidates that are the best fit for us at Service First. So we're super clear on the profile of the person that we're looking for. Next thing is, this one is so critical, is keep your talk to a minimum and just ask questions and listen. A lot of times when I have a loan officer, a salesperson, or even a new manager in the interview process with me, they talk the whole time. And they're trying to sell that person on why it would be great to come work for our company and great to work for them. And the truth is they don't know the candidate when the interview's over. And so it's so important to only talk 25% of the time and listen 75% of the time. Don't talk 75% of the time, because you won't know anything about that candidate. You may feel good about the interview, but you don't really understand that candidate's skill set if they're a good fit. So ask questions and listen. And don't be afraid to go deeper into things that candidate says as they're talking. My goal has always been to get somebody very comfortable with me so they say things they may not have intended to during that interview process. So I get to know that person. And then last, I think this is so important, is don't hire the first person that you interview. If you have the luxury of interviewing 3, 4, 5 different people, what you'll find is that, the first interview oftentimes goes well. The second or third one might even go better. And then when you start comparing the different candidates to one candidate, that's probably the one that you need to hire. And so just don't hire the first person that you interview. I hope these tips help you in your interview process. We definitely want to avoid making the wrong hires going forward and hiring, the wrong person, because we know that one bad hire can really change the whole dynamic of a branch or even the company. And we don't want to be in that situation. So we've got to hone in our interview skills, and we've got to become excellent at finding the right people and not just rely on their resume to know if they're a good fit for your company. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments and tips below. Have a great day. Thanks.